Hello and welcome to another episode of the Wired for Success podcast. And today, for part three, we are still talking about drama. Today is going to be a bit different though, because today there's going to be a little bit of involvement and engagement from you, the audience. So stay tuned and keep with us as we are going to be taking you on another side of drama, more of a psychological side of drama. So this episode is going to be led by my colleague Steve Costello, and obviously I'll be here as well giving my two tips, my two tips about what Steve is going to share with us. But thank you so much for joining us. So we are the duo for Wired for Success, my colleague Steve Costello and myself, Patience Modevi. And today we're talking about drama. Oh, sorry.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all again. Well, kind of. So I was just talking to Patience a few moments ago about a client, and I talked to her about the psychological effects of drama because drama was having quite some impact in her life. So what I asked her to do was every time I said something that she felt, something that related to her, I asked her to raise her hand like this. So I'm going to ask you to do the same. Okay, I can't see you, but that's no big deal. But I just want you to note each time I say something that relates, make a note of it. Just put a line on a piece of paper, whatever. Raise your hand, shout yes, shout me, whatever suits. Patients can do the same. So if Patients wants to raise a hand, then that'll be quite cool as well. But keep a note, Patients, because I'll probably forget how many times you did it because I'm focused on my notes. So let's get started. So drama, Patience and I have talked about drama already, and in the context of human relationships, it's a big thing, isn't it? Because relationships can have a lot of impacts on our lives, both positive and negative.
Yeah.
So let's have a think about some of the ways in which drama can or does influence us. We've got emotional impact, and the emotional impact frequently leads to stress and anxiety. So drama often brings stress and anxiety. And why does it do that? Because it introduces uncertainty and emotional turmoil.
Yeah.
And if we've got emotional turmoil, uncertainty buzzing around in our lives, it causes chaos. It can bring in, drama can bring in emotional exhaustion. Put your hand up if you've recognized that. Dealing with dramatic situations can be emotionally draining, and it can lead to exhaustion. If it doesn't stop, if we don't get it out of our system, it can lead to exhaustion. Drama affects interpersonal relationships. It puts a strain on relationships. It creates tension and conflict between individuals.
Mm.
So what about building resilience? This is jumping across to the positive side. If we can overcome dramatic situations, we can strengthen relationships and build resilience.
Yeah.
So what about mental health? There are a number of negative effects on our mental health of drama. So if we experience frequent drama, that can contribute to mental health issues such as depression or anxiety. So what about, I'm jumping around a little bit, but what about coping mechanisms? People can and do develop some amazing coping mechanisms that deal with drama. But the thing is, some of these are not always healthy.
Mm.
So let's think about productivity and distraction. drama can be distracting. It is distracting.
It is. It is.
It is. It is. And it can also impact our productivity. I don't mean the
Yes.
productivity of a worker on a conveyor belt, but I mean our productivity as a person in a relationship,
Yeah.
working on the relationship, that kind of productivity. There's all kinds of things it can affect. And we might find it difficult if we have this ongoing dramatic thing to focus on tasks. And drama affects motivation, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
But on the opposite, it can serve as a motivator
Mm.
to change or improve things. So it can be a good thing because it kind of gives us a reminder, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's
So
true.
what about drama in relation to communication skills?
Oh yeah.
So one of the interesting things about communication skills, where drama is concerned, is that there is frequently some kind of breakdown in communication. And then to make this circle even worse, more drama often arises because of miscommunication.
Mm.
So that while drama can highlight the importance of effective communication, it can also damage effective communication as well. So let's just jump on a bit. I know I'm hitting a lot of stuff fairly quickly, so we'll come back to it in a minute probably. Let's think about conflict resolution. Dealing with drama can improve conflict resolution skills, especially when we as individuals learn how to address and resolve issues.
Yeah.
So drama can affect learning and growth, personal growth. And if we can learn how to overcome dramatic situations, that can lead to personal growth and self-discovery, and that's a good thing, right?
Yes. And
Drama can.
I think it,
Sorry, Kate.
without cutting you too much, but I think you've just created drama just there.
Yeah. So we can create drama almost unknowingly.
Yeah.
So why do we do that? That's an interesting discussion. I think one that we need to save for another day. Otherwise, we'll be here forever. So let's just see. Let's just think about some more. If we can learn how to analyze without too much judgment, but if we can learn to analyze some of the drama that's going on in our worlds, we can find opportunities that enable us to learn from these challenging experiences. And that, in turn, can help us develop some problem solving skills.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of things that can happen. And I'm going to stop there for now because there's an awful lot more. But those things alone are indicators of some of the damage that drama can do, but also some of the good that it can do. Because if we can be kind of non-judgmental toward the drama, we can learn how to manage it. We can even learn how to grow from it. And we can enable other people to grow from it as well. So that it's win-win in a sense.
Mm.
So drama doesn't have to be all EastEnders, to quote from the TV show. It can be a good thing as well. So Patience, what do you think about the few things that I threw around just now?
First of all, my score was 9, and I found that my score was mainly around the negative things coming from drama, not the positive things, because when I don't think I associated drama with positive. So everything that I thought of about drama, And from the sentences that you gave, the one that resonated were mostly the ones where there was mostly negative. One thing that I realized at some point where you said that it can also be solution focused, like it can provide solution. What I found, and if I could go back to a past situation, especially in my youth, the solution that drama created was isolation. As in, this is drama. I don't want to deal with it. I'm going to go and isolate myself and not be part of this circle, basically. So, um, so bringing this back around like young people and as you were saying, because I think one sentence was resilience, and it's true. I feel that it does bring resilience, and yet I think it's a process. I think that's what I want to say about all of this. I think it's a process on how we go from maybe not being able to manage it to then finding coping mechanism that works for us, or that works for the young people that they develop themselves, and then creating that as part of the narrative of how we come out of drama. And it might not be, as you mentioned at the beginning, a positive coping mechanism.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? How often we've got to be brutally honest with ourselves sometimes. So how
Mm,
often do we say, I don't want to deal with that right now,
yeah.
later, push it away, let's ignore it? Or, no, I'm not going to challenge that, because if I challenge that drama, I may be upsetting somebody else. I may be
Yeah.
upsetting the status quo in my relationship. I may be doing this, I may be doing that. So we can think of a million reasons why we don't want to be challenging it. But at the same time, it's not helpful, is it? It's not
So
helpful to bury our head in the sand and ignore it.
yeah, it's not helpful, and just coming back to young people, that can create even more issues. So that can create the issue of not being able to say no. That can create the issue of being basically isolated, the way it happened to me when I was younger. It can create this feeling of not being worth it. And what do I mean by not being worth it? I mean, I mean it in the sense of like, you know what? Every time I'm part of this drama, why can't I have these good things happen to me, or why can't I be part of good things happening? So now we're thinking that our worth is linked to the drama, or is linked to the person who's creating the drama or the situation, where it basically is two different things. But I think it's in all of these little I will say analytic pondering that you will find your resilience, if we can say it like that. So it's by
Mhm.
actually being self-aware of all those little things, nuances that are coming up, that one can build resilience. And I think as a parent, as a professional, the idea that we can prompt this kind of discussion is what is gonna then encourage young people to then find more of their own self assessment of situation and their own self resilience.
Yeah. I think one of the things that just came to mind, Patience, was several things. There's a young person, and if we drew some cartoon images around their head, it was almost be like an assault.
Yes.
They're growing, they're feeling growing pains. If they're a young woman, they're beginning to have a period, and there's loads of stuff going on in their life. What's happening at school? What's happening in the peer group? What's happening at home? And it's overwhelming. And when you add a little bit of other drama that suddenly pops out of
That's
the
it.
woodwork for some reason or another, then it becomes even more challenging. So what, and we've answered this question many, many times, what can we as parents do? It's not perhaps our job to do something about it, but it's our job to enable young people to be able to do something about it for themselves, because by doing it for themselves, they're going to learn. So what can we do? We can ask questions. I'm just going to
Mm,
share a really simple example, but this example relates to my 3-year-old grandson. So a couple of weeks ago, he went to school and we picked him up at lunchtime. And at lunchtime, his behavior was a little bit weird. He's not an angry little boy, but he was angry and he was frustrated, and it was very clear in his body language and his facial expression that something wasn't right. But he didn't have the words to tell us what it
truly.
was that wasn't right. So we had to wait until after the lunch break was over and go back to the teacher and say, "Hey, something's happened. What is it? Are you aware?" And she said,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, I am aware. But we dealt with it. And some of the big kids have been pushing him into a pile of leaves in the playground, which he found quite scary. So it was quite a simple thing, but he didn't have the words to be able to explain it. So what we needed to do probably was try to ask more gentle questions. What happened at playtime? What did you do? What did you play? So that, as I said, it's a simplified example, but by asking the questions, we could have got there. But we wanted to short circuit because we didn't want him to go back to school in the afternoon feeling the way he did when we collected him at lunchtime. So the teacher helped out with that. So sometimes we've got to ask those questions so that can they can learn and move forward. So his drama was simply being pushed into the leaves. But he's only little, he's only 3.
Yeah.
And the kids who were doing the pushing were 6 and 7 year olds, so we've got to think about those things. So
Wow.
patience, where shall we go next?
This is actually is coming up with I mean this story you shared, it made me come up with other things, but I believe if I go into it, we'll be here for hours. Unfortunately, our episodes are short clips. So we're gonna have to leave you on this. However, remember that we are always here. We're always here to support you as parents, to support young people. You have details on how to get in touch with us through our the comments and in the description. However, I will encourage you to subscribe, like, share this podcast to anyone that you think will be doing good by listening to what we share today. And we're going to come back next week with our next episode, and that will be the last in the series of the dramas, but we're doing it 360. 360, where it's all going to be about positive drama. So we can't wait to see you next week, and take care until then. Bye, guys.
Okay, take care, everybody. Speak to you soon.